ACOG iRacing Series presents to you here tonight Vegas 225, getting set to go 150 laps of racing here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Second to final race of the season, and that means we're cutting off the top four in points. And speaking of points, we'll pull them up here in front of your screen. Basin, Frimpong, Drake, and Parker White hold the last four spots, but not by much.
Yeah, for Zeke Reyes, I'm Dewey Schramm. It's going to be a pretty tight one here as the 150 laps here tonight progress onward. And right now, Parker White with a 7-point gap over Harry Grindle in the 70 for the fourth and final spot to determine who will go on to fight for a championship. And looking down at the points, William Schmidt there in 10th. Unfortunately, he's already mathematically eliminated from contention for the final four, but even Frank DeAngelis down in 9th. I think he might be able to point his way in still if enough goes his way, but we'll have to see for sure.
Yeah, that's right. So, looking through the entry list right now, looks like Malachi Drake is not here, but that's due to a very particular reason, because of the storms from this morning. So it seems as though it looks like Malachi can't make tonight's race, so that might open up a spot in for this final four. So that means Grindle and Sertage may have a shot to get in, as well as Miller.
Yeah, Malachi, he lives down there in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and they got hit by one of those really, really violent tornadoes last night. And our best wishes go out to Malachi and everybody else down there affected by all of the tornadoes that occurred last night. Unbelievably tragic occurrence of, it's rare for those things to happen at this time of the year, but, when they do, they can pack a punch, and unfortunately, they really did last night. So again, best wishes to everybody involved in the cleanup and recovery and everything else going on down there in Kentucky, Missouri, Tennessee, everywhere else that was affected by this outbreak. But we'll see where everybody lines up here in practice so far. And again, with Malachi unable to make it due to those extenuating circumstances, that will likely open up another Final Four spot for another driver. And Parker White, who comes into tonight tied in third with Malachi in points, will be fastest in practice. So we'll scoot ourselves off to the side here for a couple of moments, and we'll be right back here with qualifying. And rise up and remove your hats for the national anthem as we salute our nation's colors.
Welcome everybody back here live for the ACOG iRacing Series on MaxspeedTV Las Vegas 225. I'd go up and away here in just a moment. Currently drivers taking their fastest two around the racetrack, and those will be pulled up here on the left hand side of the screen. Seeing these drivers work themselves around this 1.5 mile oval. But yeah, Las Vegas, one of the more funner 1.5 mile racetracks in my opinion. Should be a lot of fun to see on, how this will all turn out, especially in noon setting.
Yeah, of course, with the noon setting, that means the track is going to be very slick. And you see there on the little weather graphic there, track temp of 111 degrees. So definitely going to be a slick one, especially early on in the race tonight. So we'll see how these guys in the field will manage that. Nick Miller in the 19 to the top of the charts. Won last week at Phoenix, so trying to go back-to-back here in the NASCAR series at Phoenix and here at Vegas, just about 100 or so miles away from each other. So a little bit of a West Coast swing here on the back half of the season. And we'll get a look and see race analysis here on the left-hand side of your screen and the right side. 1.5 miles in length is this Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Noon tracks, session time rather, for today. Pit road speed of 50 miles per hour. 5 tire sets at these drivers' disposal. And a fuel window of roughly 45 to 50 laps. Could be a bit less than that. Could be a bit more than that. Time will tell with that one. But roughly a 2 to 3 stop race is what it looks like it'll be tonight. 150 laps comes out to 225 miles. Dylan Basin comes into tonight's race as your points leader. And as mentioned before, Nick Miller, defending race winner last week down in Phoenix.
It should be interesting here for tonight. It looks like we're running an extra tire set than usual, so we'll see if drivers could take advantage of that and come on in if they see an early caution or such. So just have to see on how it'll all turn out. But for right now, still qualifying underway. Nick Miller in the top of the board.
Yeah, about a minute and change left here in qualifying. Looks like only 9 cars have elected to take time so far. So about half the field taking a time and half the field electing to roll the dice and see where they end up in the starting grid. Of course, I believe all the cars that don't take time end up randomized in the starting order. So maybe you'll end up 10th, maybe you'll end up 19th. We'll see where everybody ends up slotting in. But for right now, it looks like Nick is going to get the pole here for tonight, barring a last-minute fast lap from someone.
Yeah, seems as though we got a couple of late entries on in. Mark Frimpong works himself into the session, as well as, looks like Kyler Wynn making a return here tonight. So glad to see a couple of returning names here out on the racetrack to go ahead and hold themselves up on the board, and ought to see how they will fare out here for tonight's event. Glad you could tune us in here for tonight's ACOG iRacing Series Vegas 225. Round 11 out of 12, about to go up and away. And of course, we're eliminating 6 of our 10 chase drivers. Going to come out with 4 in the end to scoot ourselves into home to and seeing how that will all turn out. But in the meantime of that, looks like as though the pace cars set itself on the grid. And we're about to go racing here in a moment.
And on row number 1, Nick Miller, your pole sitter here for tonight. Again, trying to go back-to-back after winning last week at Phoenix. And points leader Dylan Basin will roll off to his outside there in P2.
R2 going to be Alec Daffin in the 005. Benjamin A. White right alongside him.
Row number 3, Sertaj Mon in the 49, and Miles Nelson in the 00.
Got Ryan Kendrick in the 112 in 7th place. Tyler Field in the 126 alongside him.
And rounding out your top 10, I believe these are both rookies here. Ryan Broderick in the 211 and Christopher Lynn in the 125. So good luck to those drivers here in their first league start. Rest of the order will scroll on the bottom of your screen. There's Parker White rolling off in 11th. There's Harry Grindle, one of the drivers on the outside looking in, coming into tonight's race. Scott Yost returns here for tonight. We'll see how he does. And it looks like it'll be 22 cars in the session. We'll see if they all take the green. But a bit of a smaller field than what we saw a couple weeks ago. But it should be a pretty good race nonetheless.
Yeah, we had about, I'd say 30-something, 31 show up at Texas. And after that, we had 18 at Phoenix. So a bit of a bigger field here for tonight. So should be fun to see on who's going to come out on top, who's not. And again, we'll show you point standings to see on where everybody stands right now. Got Basin, Frimpong, Drake, and Parker White. Again, your top 4, but unfortunately for Malachi Drake, not present here tonight due to personal issue. So that means Harry Grindle, unofficially, you're the last person in, but doesn't mean he's in for sure because you got Sertage, Miller, Hobbs also lurking for that final spot.
And again, with winning last week at Phoenix, Nick has a lot of momentum on his side, and you saw so hard he won the pole here for tonight. So, bit of a hot streak, and what a better, I mean, there's no better time to go on a hot streak than right now when you're trying to get yourself into that Final Four. So for the 19, he's done everything right so far between when the checkered flag fell at Phoenix last week and so right now. He comes into tonight still 16 points below Malachi and Parker for one of those last 4 spots, but the way he's been driving recently, to me, there's no reason why he can't get up there and get one.
Yeah, again, well, I just have to see on how it'll all go for him. Dylan Basin, also a championship driver, he's going to be rolling out second, of course, points leader. And that 08. Sertage there in the 49. He's looking to get himself in the Final Four. Got, I don't think, no, none of these drivers are chase drivers, actually. So, gotta scroll all the way back to Parker White in the 95, our, of course, most winningest driver, not number 95.
Yeah, I don't think Frank DeAngelis is here tonight either, so he will not be in contention for one of those spots. So it'll be Nick and Harry trying to see if they can get enough points tonight to get by Malachi. Harry comes into tonight 7 points behind Malachi and Parker. Nick comes into tonight's race down 16, but has a bonus point already for winning the pole, so that's now a 15-point gap. So we'll see if he can attain that here over the next 150 laps. Pace car will go down on to pit road. Nick Miller and Dylan Basin will lead us to the green flag, and we're off and rolling here at Vegas.
Green.
225 miles to determine our Final Four.
Alrighty, an aggressive move all the way to the inside. Parker White's going to take it down low and under 3 wide, right behind for at least 10th. Up front, though, it's Basin. Miller up front. There's a scramble coming into 1 and 2. That's the 005 of Alec Daffin making an appearance in that blue machine. He's on the low side, and with the 15 of Benjamin A. White.
Still side-by-side there into 3 between Miller and Basin. The 08 goes way up the hill. That looks like that might have gotten tight on him there in the middle of the corner, and that's going to allow 2 cars, Benjamin White and the blue and white car. I can't really get the number on that, but Benjamin will get the second spot away from Dylan, and into turn 1, it's going to be a side-by-side battle between Daffin and Sertage for that P4 spot.
Sertage got a nice run through turns 1 and 2. He's going to flick it to the high side. And up front, though, looks like Miller doing a bit of blocking there on the 15 of Benjamin. Benjamin had to check up just a bit, but he looks like going to sail it in big time through 3 and 4. We'll see if he can get a bite off the corner, and they'll be side-by-side for the lead.
Yeah, got a bit of a bite, but not quite enough to get that lead away from the 19 and Miller, but that's going to bring Sertage up to the back bumper of both of those cars. Now all of a sudden, got a 3-way battle here for the race lead, as right behind them, Basin looks like he's going to drop another spot here to the 00 of Miles Nelson. And into turn 3, Sertage is going to take it 3 wide for the lead.
3 wide. Benjamin against the safer barrier. It's Miller in the middle, but Sertage against the white line. 3 wide still off that corner. Fantastic racing here on lap number 4, but you don't want to pressure it too much, or else you might cause a wreck.
Yeah, and Sertage needs to be aggressive here early. One of those drivers coming into tonight below the cut line. So an opportunity here to try to get an early bonus point for leading a lap, which the 19 of Nick has already gotten now. So only 14 points now he needs to get on Malachi between the pole and leading a lap. So if the 49 can at least get a lap led here, it'll make his job that much easier. But he's still going to have to fight that 19 for one of those spots all night long.
How about the 00 Miles Nelson? He snuck himself into this top 4 battle. He's sort of looking around that 49 of Sertage Mon, but sort of boxed in line. Can't find a way around. Miller gets tight. Has to push Benjamin up the racetrack. Is going to open up the door for Sertage. Here comes Miles Nelson. They're still 3 wide.
Whoa! And the 19 just about tagged the wall there out of turn 2. Somebody did, though, back there around 10th or 12th place, but a close call for sure for that 19 as he barely cleared the 15. But out of turn 4, Nick will lead the lap once again. Well, there's Sertage trying to get second away from that 15.
And they're really close up here, up front, for this battle for the lead. Miller trying to maintain as much as he can as he holds off the 15 of Benjamin White, who gets a nice run off the corner. Benjamin looks like he got a bite that time, but Sertage is going to be pushing that 19. Oh, looks like Sertage got tight.
Yes, he might still get a run on Benjamin out of turn 4, though. I think he backed up his entry just enough to be able to get a run on the bottom, and it'll be side-by-side at least. Not quite enough to get the nose underneath Nick here into turn 1, but perhaps into turn 3 he can try again.
Benjamin trying to pinch down the 49 of Sertage as much as he can, get a bite off the corner, but I'm pretty sure that second lane will really kick in around lap 20-ish for, really around lap 20 as Miles Nelson's going to send into the corner. Sertage trying to cut him off. Sertage pinched big time.
Those two have had a couple of run-ins recently as well. I mean, Sertage and Miles have not been too happy with each other the last couple of weeks, so this battle right here could be one to watch here as this race unfolds. But I think the high side, in terms of its ability to be used, is probably going to depend on how much tire wear these cars have by that lap 20 point. You see a couple of cars like Sertage are probably going to be pressuring or forcing the issue more than other cars that might be around 8th or 9th. So we'll see how much tire wear ends up playing into the feasibility of that high side coming in.
Miles Nelson was trying to get to the underside of Sertage, was denied about twice there through that lap. Now Sertage gets a run on the 19, and Miller, he can't do anything with it, so everybody's lined up single file through the corner. But again, as I said, as this race progresses on and the track wears down, you're going to see some drivers, especially through through 1 and 2, start to spread out, especially with that middle lane being so fast on the long run.
And out of turn 4, they're going to be side-by-side right behind Miles Nelson. That is, I believe, Daffin and Parker White for P6. And that's Parker on the bottom, Daffin on the top. And Parker comes in tonight tied for 3rd in points with Malachi Drake. But because Malachi is not here tonight, that will definitely help Parker in terms of trying to get into the Final Fours. Here's a move. Once again, Miles and Sertage going for P3. The 00 gets tight, and he's going to door the 49 up the hill. And again, those two have had a couple run-ins recently, so you know the 49, with him trying to go for a Final Four spot, is probably not going to be too thrilled with the 00 for that.
Oh, no doubt about it. That 49, he's racing for the bigger picture, so getting doored up the racetrack like that, not very cool, Miles Nelson. And Sertage is really falling back here. Now he's in the hands of the 70 of Grindle, and Grindle works himself down low.
Yeah, I think Sertage might have used up too much of his tires here early trying to get that lap lead bonus. And he's going to fall into the grasp now of that 70 car. And, I mean, I can understand Miles trying to go for a gap, but, I mean, it's still really early on in the race. There's still a whole lot of racing left. And Sertage is a much bigger prize that he's trying to go for than Miles right now. So, again, I'm sure Sertage probably not too thrilled with the 00 for that. But for the race lead here into 3, it'll be Nick, our pole sitter, trying to wrestle the lead back from the 15 of Benjamin. And out of turn 4, looks like he's going to do it at the line.
All right behind, looks like Miles, he got a bit tight. He's going to be side-by-side with Sertage. Also jamming out Parker White in the 95, who's worked himself through the field. He has now worked himself inside this top 5. Sertage going to pinch the 00 there through the corner. And I mean, 00 is going to fall back to 5th.
Yeah, advantage 49 on that one. Did a good job pinching, and he will take that spot back from the 00. And it looks like he took Parker White with him as well. So Miles drops 2 spots there in that corner. It looks like he's lost a 3rd one to Alec Daffin in the 005. So just as we thought Sertage might have used up his tires, maybe it was the 00 that indeed used them too fast.
This is the point of the run where you're definitely going to see some filtering throughout the run. People who used up their tires early are going to start fading back. Like, example there, the 00 of Miles Nelson. He used up his stuff a bit early. He's now fading back. Also, some drivers doing the complete opposite. The 95 who's saving tires. He's worked himself inside this top 5. So, drivers going now, shuffling through the scoreboard. We'll see on where they're going to come out by the end of, I'd say, lap 45, once we do hit our first window of green flag pit stops.
Yeah, and again, the window is estimated to be between 45 and 50 laps, and it could be a couple less than that, or it could be a couple more than that. So it'll remain to be seen where exactly these drivers do decide to come down pit road. But yeah, again, it'll also be interesting to see how much tire wear these cars end up using by that lap 45 point. As you see, Parker you mentioned him potentially saving some, but still in the top 5. Whereas another car like Miles Nelson, you see him dropping another spot back there to Ryan Kendrick. So the 00 might have a bit of a hard time making it to that first green flag stop window.
Sertage at the low side of Benjamin. Benjamin wants to pinch down, and he entered the corner a bit late, and that sort of checked up Sertage in the 49. Now the 95 of... Oh!
And that's contact between the 49 and the 15, and the 15 is going to go around here on the apron on the front stretch. And from second place, Benjamin White is going to spin here, and no caution comes out. And you see the right rear, or the left rear damage, rather, to his car. And with no caution coming out, he's just going to put it right into his pit stall. But he's going to easily lose 2 laps as a result of that.
Yikes. I mean, he was running second. He led laps, and he got clipped off of 4 by Sertage. We'll see a replay of it again right here, but Sertage just walked right into him. And the 15 sort of blinked as well, which prevented Sertage from getting a lot of damage, but Benjamin, unfortunately, probably going to be one of the first non-contenders of tonight's race.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because you saw how quick that car was in the first, 17 or so laps here tonight. But this has allowed Nick Miller to pull ahead by about 1.5 seconds now, as Parker White will go for that second spot on Sertage. And it looks like it's going to be the 49 at the line, but just by a nose.
That sucks for Benjamin. Miller has found the second lane through 1 and 2. This is what I was talking about earlier. And that 19's propelled himself to a 1.5 second lead. Now Sertage is going to have to settle in for third spot for right now. He's trying to get around Parker yet again. Maybe stall him out, but unfortunately Parker has a fresher tires on that end. He's pulling himself away from Sertage already.
And the 95 definitely saves tires in the early part of that run, but already up to second place despite doing that. So a really nice job there for Parker. And we'll see if before this run ends, if that 95 can try to catch the 19 and maybe take the lead away.
Scroll through the field. Haven't talked about the drivers toward the back. Speaking of, and Kylo Ren's going to go around.
And I don't know who that contact was from, but the caution's going to be out for the first time here tonight. And Benjamin will get one of his 3 laps back here as a result. So caution number 1 here on lap 20, but it looks like no harm, no foul, as Kyler didn't hit anything, but we'll get a look at it regardless.
Yeah, big gaggle of cars here around where Miles Nelson. Dylan Payson was also around here. I'm surprised he's dropped himself outside this top 5, but looks like Kyler, Miles, looks as though... Ooh,
Miles, 00 came down.
Yeah, Miles looks like he got a bit loose off the corner, and simple spin by the 082 of Kyler. And
yeah, good job by Kyler to lock it up, and no one else hit him. So it looks like a pretty harmless incident here, but caution out nonetheless. And a good break for Benjamin, though he's 4 laps down. He may have ended up disconnecting, unfortunately. But this will allow Kyler at least to put on 4 fresh tires and not fall behind as a result of the contact.
Pace car, Pace car's over there. I was about to say pace car on in. We're about to go green. Never mind.
Not yet.
Not yet. A bit early. But, of course, this will go ahead and open up the window for fuel. I mean, not the window for fuel, window for tires. Also fuel as well, if you take it that way.
Still going to be a 2-stop race for fuel, though, from here on out. But, of course, with a caution like this, everybody's coming in. Why not take 4 tires and fuel? Can't hurt anybody.
Miller out first. Sertage going to come out second. It's Parker in third, Daffin in fourth, and looks like Ryan Kendrick going to be in 5th spot. Now, of course, with the new penalty markers being initiated, Miles is going to get an EOL penalty. So to the back he goes. Mitch Hobbs has stayed himself out, led a lap. He's going to work himself back on in. Has a bit of right front damage, unfortunately, on that machine.
You're not sure where that came from, but Mitch, another one of those drivers on the outside looking in. Coming into tonight's races, there's a look at the 211 of Ryan Broderick, one of those drivers making their league debut tonight. But Mitch, I think for him it's going to have to come down to a strategy call for him to get into the Final Four with so many other drivers here tonight also aiming for that last spot, and Parker trying to keep one of those last spots. And coming into tonight's race, he's 20... actually, no, that's 20 points. 20 points between Mitch and Parker / Malachi, so a much bigger hill to climb for Mitch than it is for Nick or Sartaj, but definitely not impossible here. So everybody from 5th through 8th here tonight trying to get one of those spots, and Malachi hoping probably that a lot of these guys maybe have some issues that don't allow them to get enough points to get by them.
You don't wish demise on the driver. You just wish for something to happen in which they could falter back enough for you to pick up points. You don't want them to crash, of course. Respect out on the racetrack and stuff, but you do wish for some kind of thing for yourself to have to pull yourself inside that top 4. So interesting thing that Parker White's doing. He's right against the inside wall. I'm not really sure if he's trying to save as much fuel as he can. Still 128 laps to go here for tonight's race, so we'll have to see. Lights are off on the pace car. Miller in the 19 is going to be in first. He elects the top side of the racetrack. A lot of good amount of laps so far that number 19 has. There's led 16. Sertaj in the number 49 has led none. Highest he's been is second. Perfect time to gun for the lead off this restart. Base into the 08. Haven't really seen him inside this top 5. There he is in 6th. We'll see if he can work himself through and pull himself something off tonight. Of course, secure inside that top 4, but not by much.
Green flag, green flag.
Green. Oh, big jam up toward the back.
Yeah, around, looks like 9th or 10th place. Somebody didn't get going at all back there. It looks like they've straightened that out pretty quick, as Nick will clear everybody into turn 1 and will hold on to the race lead as we briefly take a look back there. Just as we thought Nick might be trying to clear, here comes Sartaj, the big run on the bottom, trying to take the lead away into turn 3, and if he can lead this lap, that'll be a valuable bonus point towards trying to get himself in this Final 4.
Miller tried to pinch there through 4, but looks like, still got a bite through the corner, so they're going to be side by side for the lead. Sartaj going to dive to the bottom side of the racetrack. And at the line, drum roll. Looks like Sartaj led the lap, but Parker White's making it hard for him. Uh-oh.
And it took Sartaj 25 laps to do it, but he finally got that lap led that he needed. Now he just needs to keep himself up there and hope he can lead enough laps to maybe get the extra point for leading the most laps as well, which of course, still up for grabs for all of these drivers up here. And speaking of drivers up here, here's Daffin trying to make a move for second and maybe the lead here on the front stretch.
3 wide as Sertaj also makes a charge there, but Daffin using that high side, he's gonna falter back for the moment. And it's Parker White in the 95 is just sort of watching all this play into fruition. And Daffin's making it hard for Sertaj. And that 49, he's gonna have to fight back to 3rd, but Sertaj's gonna send it into the corner. We'll see if he can get a bite of some sort. And Daffin has nothing to lose. He's not a chase driver.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do here tonight. But again, gunning for the lead here on both Sartaj and Nick. But it'll be the 19 holding on for now. But now Nick's trying to fend off 2 cars at the same time, and that's a pretty tall task there for the 19. So with Daffin being a non-chaser, it might be in Nick's best interest to try to let the 005 go and worry about keeping the 49 behind him.
Oh, but now Daffin has a good enough run, a challenge for the lead on the high side. We'll see if he can get a bite through 3 and 4 up in the middle groove. Seems as though he's going to lead the lap at the line by half a car length. 005 to the front, but not by much. Miller's going to fight back to the bottom. We'll see if he can get a bite through those bumpy corners in turns 1 and 2. Going to be denied, and Daffin moves himself to the front. How about that?
Yeah, for the first time tonight, it'll be the 005 of Daffin controlling the field here on lap 29, so 121 to go at the line. So still quite a ways to go here in tonight's event, but early on might be seeing a new contender here for the race win, as Sartaj will make another run here at Nick for that second spot.
Yeah, had a non-chaser win in the opening round of the playoffs. Austin Johnson picked up the win at Texas. We'll see if a non-chaser could do it here again with Daffin. And that 005 now leading this thing here on lap 30 out of 150. So should be fun to see on how Daffin can control this thing, especially with a bunch of chasers looming in the distance. See a bit of a fight back here around where Ryan Kendrick is. He's sitting 8th, now in 9th as he drops a position to Scott Yost in the 213. He's making a nice run. Great to see Scott back. I think this is his first start in ACOG. He's made multiple starts back in NASCAR. Of course, won a couple of races.
Yeah, trying to see if he can maybe win here tonight in his first ACOG start. Currently running in P8 right now, as the top 3 are single file and are starting to pull away, looks like, from the rest of the field. As almost contact back there between Miles Nelson and Kyler Wynn. And those two made contact to bring up the first caution. About 12 laps to go, so another near miss for those two. But we stay green here as they still battle at the line.
Oh, man. Oh, Miles.
He got loose down there.
Yeah, he got loose down there. I'm not really sure if that was netcode or Kyler scaring that 00 down the racetrack, but he got loose. That was an odd place to get loose, all the way down right in the center of the triangle. It's pretty odd.
Yeah, good save, though, for the 00 regardless, and they'll get another crack at Kyler, perhaps out of 4. Battle for P4 or P5, that is Mitch Hobbs in the 89 and Harry Grindle in the 70. That is actually for 6th. Both of those drivers coming into tonight's race below the cut line, so they need to put it into the next gear to try to get themselves up to the front and leading some laps to try to get as many bonus points as they can. And especially considering that 2 other drivers trying to get into the Final 4 and 1 trying to stay there sit right ahead of them on the racetrack.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there's not a lot of drivers going the racetrack, so not a lot of positions to be gained. So every position matters here around this 1.5 mile racetrack. So for all these drivers, all these chase drivers, they got to be running toward that at least a top 8 to even have a shot at that Final 4. Hobbs to the high side. He's lurking on base in the 08 base, and very uncharacteristic about that 05. He's behind the 8 ball for right now. But no irony to that number 08, the 8's number, but that 08 currently riled back in 5th. Cal Gomes has just hit pit road, unscheduled pit stop by that 075, so he's on in and out, damaged and off pace, unfortunately, so not a contender here for tonight.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened there. Must have occurred off camera somehow, but that'll be potentially our second retirement of the race, as Benjamin White disconnected earlier after the contact between himself and Sartaj Mon while running for second. So that leaves us with 17 cars on the lead lap. We had 22 in the session. 19 took the green flag, so down again to 17 of them still on the lead lap. Now to turn 4, Grindle gets a bit squiggly up top, or a bit squirrely rather, as he tries to fend off both Yost and I believe that is Kendrick there into turn 1.
Kendrick running an odd fawn as Harry is up against the barrier. He might attack the wall in 1 and 2. He's going to lose a lot of spots because of it. Now loses 1 to Kendrick. Might lose 1 to Yost, as well as that's Michael Deem in the 097. And I think he's making his first start here tonight. So glad to see another unfamiliar face running inside this top 10 as well. He gets around Yost for the time being, but up front, though, Miller has been king for right now. Miller, this is his kind of racetrack. Looks like overtook it from Daffin from the 005. Now Sertage in the 49, also sitting in the wings as well, trying to make something happen. But Parker White, he too is starting to lose a bit of ground, but he might be saying a bit of tire of what we saw that first run. So Parker sort of riled back for right now.
Yeah, and tire saving worked out for him really well on that first run, as he still ended up making his way up to second place when the caution came out. So we'll see if he can do it successfully again here on this second run, as Miller has opened up about a 7/10 of the second lead now on Daffin, as Sertage has also started to fade a little bit.
Luckily, of course, all these drivers still running inside the top 3, so still have a shot at this win. If it was 5 laps to go, though, that would be a different story. But for right now, still over 100 laps to go here at Las Vegas. And scrolling through the field, seeing if we can catch a battle. Looks like not for right now, but Kyler, he's maybe that's a bit of foreshadowing. You know what happened earlier this race with that first caution.
Yeah, Miles. Yeah, the first caution and the only caution so far was Miles getting into that Kyler wind machine down the backstretch, and I think you can tell Kyler's not too pleased with 00. And I mentioned earlier that Sertage has had a couple run-ins as well with Miles, so 00 not really making too many friends out there here tonight, but we'll see how that unfolds here as the rest of the race goes by.
Drivers running toward the back, haven't talked about them. This is Ryan Broderick in the 211. Also got Tyler Field there on the low side. He's trying to make that low side work. Also got Christopher Litton in that 125. He too is making his first start. So a bunch of people making their first starts and such here, as Cal is now 1 lap down, by the way. So for the time being, Miller leads it by a 2nd and a 10th.
Yeah, he's picked up a couple of tenths on that lead over the last handful of laps, so it was about 7/10. Now sits about 1.2. As there's Mark Frimpong in the 53, got his first league win a couple weeks ago here in this series at Talladega. Currently runs in 11th, just ahead of Kyler. And looks like there's a bit of a gap between himself and 10th place Deem, so we'll see if any of those guys can catch that 097.
Frimpong another big block there by Kyler, and looks like a
bumper.
Yeah, Miles is not pleased about those blocks. I mean, that's the 2nd or 3rd time. Who knows how many times these two have run into each other.
Watch this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to see what Miles, because obviously Miles is trying to get by Kyler, and Kyler's having none of it, and he's going to do everything in his power to keep him behind. So this is going to be an interesting one, as another move by Miles, another block by Kyler, and I have a feeling it's going to be a matter of time before that 00 ends up sending Kyler and potentially putting him in the wall. But while that goes on, Uriel Ceballos there in the 17 is going to take advantage of this and get by both of them.
And looks like the 00 of Miles, he followed through with a 17, and now Wynn is to the backside of that 00. He gives him a bump.
And another one. I think Miles might have brake checked him there in the middle of 1 and 2 as well, and that's going to harm the 00, as he's going to tag the wall there out of turn 2, and that's going to cost him some time. As further back, got side-by-side racing as well. This is Broderick and Thiel for P15. So quite a few close calls so far over the last handful of laps. But back up front, Miller's lead continues to grow as it's now up to 1.6 seconds as Davlin will go around the outside for second on Parker White.
Yeah.
Actually, I think he's trying to fend off that spot.
Yeah, he's trying to fend off that spot. Parker worked himself from 5th, and now he's into 3rd. Sertage is the one who's fallen back. He's now in 4th. Also snuck up into this top 5 battle is the number 89 Mitch Hobbs. He's slowly sneaking up to these 4 drivers right ahead. But for right now, the man who's keeping pace is that 19 Miller. He is 1.6 seconds ahead of these drivers for right now, but Daffin's making it hard for Parker White to earn a pass as close racing right behind. Sertage nearly washed into the 08 basin. That was close.
Yeah, another close call here. As we're slowly closing in on 1/3 of the way through the race. As Sertage will file in behind Dylan out of turn 4. He will stand pat in P5 for now, but the caution is back out here on lap 49. And it looks like it's for Ryan Broderick there in the 211. A lot of rear end damage to that car. And here on lap 49, caution number 2. And this will give everybody else an opportunity here to come down pit road.
I'll have to see what happened here with the 211 and looks like the 126 is how they feel.
Yeah, side by side here.
Ooh.
So Broderick got the wall there out of turn 2. And
well, just try to stay off of him.
Lost it. Yep. And unfortunately went back up the hill and slapped it with the right side.
Yeah, so Broderick, as soon as he hit the wall, he just tried to keep off of that, of Tyler, and ended up caught him too hard, right?
Yeah, I'm sure the 126 is appreciative of him trying not to make contact there, but unfortunately, that resulted in more damage for the 211 than he otherwise would have gotten. So we'll stack the field back up here, and we'll come down pit road for the second time tonight. Miller, your pole sitter, still out front, but Daffin and Parker White, they've looked pretty close over these last couple laps. Miller's lead had started to grow, but this will give them another opportunity to try to get that lead away.
All right, now looks like gonna hit pit road with now 100 laps to go. Everybody sails it down on in, trying to, of course, use up as much position as they can onto pit road. Drivers all the way to the apron and such. You see the 08 and the 49 also on in, but Miller gonna slide his car on in. See the 08 basin also on in, and 05, 005, excuse me, also on in. I'm getting reports of tire wear, so this is really the first time we've seen as he's gonna beat everybody off of pit road. What a pit stop by Parker White in that 95. How in the world did he work himself to the front?
I have no idea, but that might be one of the fastest pit stops of the season there for the 95 with a 14:43, and that'll allow him to get a bonus point for leading a lap, and considering he's trying to stay in the final 4, that's big for him.
Yeah, man.
That was blazing fast.
Cal Gomes, the 075, is going to get a wave around. Now, it wasn't the pit stop that was the fastest. It was actually his time on pit road itself. That was faster than everybody's. Parker was on pit road for about 38.8 seconds. Miller was on pit road for 39.9. He was the only person who was in the, he was the only person who was in that 38-second range, and that means Parker just beat everybody through pit road speed. Of course, different sections on different sectors on pit road and where you could push, how you could push it, and Parker seems as though he just guessed right, or he knows the sectors around the around pit road and mashed it off enough to keep it in front of 19.
Yeah, perhaps a bit of more aggressive driving on pit road, but it worked out there for Parker, as again, he will also lead the field back to the green here in a couple laps.
And this is going to be the first time Miller's going to be in a big challenge here. I think Parker has the speed. He just hasn't shown it yet to challenge that 19. But here off this restart, Miller's definitely going to have a challenge to probably fight out this 95. Sertage, even though he was running in third, he's fallen back to fifth. Mitch Hobbs in the 89. He's done a nice job of keeping himself up in the mix. He's in sixth right now. You see the 70 of Grindle also there in seventh. Grindle again, one of our final four coming in here for tonight, but seems as though seventh place. Who knows if it might cut it?
Yeah, I mean, fifth for Mitch might not even cut it here with the amount of points he came into tonight behind Kyler and Malachi, or excuse me, not Kyler, Parker White and Malachi. So we'll see if it's enough, but even a top 5, it may fall short of getting into the final 4. It'll likely come down to some post-race calculations because, I mean, Malachi, in theory, could still make the final 4, I'm pretty sure, if enough people have issues. It's just going to be a matter of who ends up finishing where, and if you can take a provisional or not. So we'll still have 97 laps to figure all of that out. 2 cautions so far, both for single car spins. So pretty clean and exciting race so far. And for the first time tonight, we'll have a different car than Nick Miller leading us back to the green.
Once that pace car scoots itself left, I'm pretty sure Parker White's going to be on the throttle to try to jump that 19 of Miller as much as he can. Pace car is in. He's going to hold the field back. Going to stack it up. Now Parker hits the throttle. Miller's going to scoot himself in front of Daffin. Up and away.
Yeah, good start there for Parker's going to give him a gap of about a tenth and a half there on the rest of the cars, or more like 3/10, bigger gap than I thought he would get. And while a potential hornet's nest develops around third place, that's going to allow Parker to set sail and hopefully for him be ahead of any potential contact that happens. Because all those cars, besides Alec Daffin, are cars either in the Final 4 right now or trying to get into the Final 4. So this might get exciting here in a lap or two.
Yep, it will, and it's going to be Sertage Simon to the low side, 3 wide into the turns number 1. Bason's going to have to give way. It looks like Daffin checked up big time. Bason with a huge run on the high side. He's going to drag the 90, not 98, but 89 with him.
And a near contact, and around goes the 05 of Daffin, and he is going to go hard into the inside wall. I think he ended up losing it trying to stay off the 08 and ended up spinning out instead, and no caution either. So a great run for Alec Daffin, unfortunately, comes to an end here on lap 55. And with that, the entire top 6 is all cars in the chase.
That's unfortunate for Daffin. I mean...
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Because it looked like he washed up in the middle of the turn while they were still 3 wide, and he was trying his best to not hit the 08. And speaking of people hitting stuff, Miles Nelson in the 00 just really tags the wall there out of turn 2, and he's going to spin in almost the same place that Daffin did. So a bad night gone worse for the 00, despite that speed he showed early.
Oh, man!
And, yeah, near contact again. That's Nick and Mitch going for P2. The 89 will take that spot, and he might have a chance to get the lead here to turn 3 with the run he's got.
We'll have to see. Hobbs looking for that top spot. These two have met before, Parker and Hobbs, but Parker, of course, winning the battles that he's won against, been against with Hobbs, but Mitch does have a win in the season. Came on the Super Speedway side. Hobbs is going to fling it up high, and it seems as though Parker allowed that door to open, and he's going to gun for that spot. Yeah, that was his second, or I believe his first league win as well when he took the checkered flag first at Talladega. See if he can get his first his first intermediate win here tonight, as he won't quite lead the lap at the line, but Mitch definitely letting Parker know he's there and he's hungry for that lead. Yeah, he's knocking on the door big time. I think he's going to get a good enough run on the high side to clear that 95. Indeed, he does so. So Hobbs now into the front. gonna have to scroll back here to this 05 of Daffin. I'm curious to see what happened off of this exchange, since every single battle is now ceased.
Yeah, he got tight here, I think, and I think he turned a bit down to avoid hitting. Oh no, Mitch tags the wall. That's what it was. The 89 hit the wall and he bounced off into the 005, and he spun across the nose of Sartaj. So I thought Daffin might have hooked it by accident trying to stay off the 89, but it ended up being Mitch getting into the wall that caused that contact. And despite that contact, your new leader is that 89, and a valuable bonus point towards trying to get to the Final Four now in Mitch Hobbs' hands.
Well, Hobbs has company. That 95 Parker White, not letting him go just for the time, just yet. You also got Miller there in the 19, who had to sort of fend off Sertaj Mon in the 49. Sertaj, trying to do as much positioning as he can, but really couldn't have done as much. And still, Basin has yet to crack inside this top 3. I think he's been in 3rd, but he started himself in 2nd. Was as high as 2nd, but ever since then, he's dropped all the way back to 5th. And now, not only that, he's getting a mirror full of Brian Kendrick, Michael Deem, Harry Grindle, and Scott Yost. So, all these drivers now coming up and absorbing on Basin's scene. They're going to be fighting for that spot here in a moment.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if Parker is saving tires this time, because we saw in the first run, he saved for a while, but still ended up getting up to 2nd. He sits 2nd right now, but I don't know if he's saved as much this time around. But if he has, he's still doing a really nice job of keeping himself up there. And I do wonder, on the flip side, if Mitch is maybe using up too much of his tires now, trying to get as many laps led as possible.
For the time being, he's kept himself up front. That lead is closing. Parker looks like made up a 10th through that lap. Got down to 2.6, entering 1, 2.4, but it's going to fluctuate through the corner. Miller in the 19's also stuck himself inside this battle for the lead as well, so watch out for that 19 as we progress on with this run. A lot of battling going on toward the rear as well. That looks like Frimpong working around Tyler Field, Broderick. On the high side, he's way up high. And got Christopher Lynn, Cal Gomes, all in this fight for this outside this top 10. But up front, Mitch Hobbs has a bit of company now.
Yeah, and Gomes got the wave around on that last yellow, so now he can actually pass people again after being the only car lapped down for a while. And Miles Nelson, as a result of that contact and spin he had earlier, he now sits the lap down, and he's probably going to need a yellow to get more of that damage repaired and get new tires on. But I believe the 005 at Daffin, unfortunately now, has disconnected as a result of that spin he had, which is really a shame because he showed a lot of speed in that first run.
A couple of drivers who didn't start tonight's race who are not shown on the leaderboard right now. That's Max Yerk in the 6, also Landon J. Gentry in the 43. They're 20th and 21st. They did not start here for this 150-lap event. For the lead, though, Parker White's going to scoot himself. He was looking for a crossover off of 4. Couldn't get the nose down under, but got the nose up high. And for the lead, and oh my goodness, Miller sent it big time into the corner. He finds himself in the outside wall because of it. And Parker's going to go at the front.
Yeah, that did not work at all for Nick, and the 95 will take the race lead back from the 89 of Hobbs, and I think that might be a case of Parker saving tires and Mitch maybe using up too many, but it still got the 89 at least part of what he wanted, which was to get a bonus point for leading a lap, and he ended up leading about 6 or 7, but now he needs to figure out how to save enough to keep himself up there for the rest of the run and hope something happens to the other cars he's trying to fight for that last chase spot.
So Parker retakes the lead. Everybody from 1st to 6th is spread out for, it looks like 1.6 seconds. Gonna scroll back to Yost and Grindle, 3rd and 4th, as Yost is trying to work around the 70. Deem in the 097 is also in the mix, as well as Uriel Savalos in that 17 machine. So again, still a lot of laps to go. We're coming up on the halfway point here in a moment on lap number 75. So closing out this race here soon.
Yeah, that 17's a pretty solid run so far, running in the bottom half of the top 10. We'll see if we can stay there as we slowly approach the halfway point here in tonight's race. Just completing lap 69 of the scheduled 150. So still quite a ways to go, and still at least one more pit stop remaining, maybe two, for everybody here in this field.
Even though Mitch has lost sight of Parker White, he's still staying contented for right now, but now is going to have a mirror full of the number 19 and Miller. These two had a bit of history after Phoenix. So we'll have to see what happens between Hobbs and Miller through this corner. But for the time being, Hobbs going to fend out that 19 for the time for 1 and 2, but 3 and 4 might be a different story because Miller is... Oh, looks like we got a bit of smoke. And
well, judging by the leaderboard, Ryan Broderick and Christopher Lynn are both a lap down now, so I think these two may have had some contact here. And the front end of Broderick's car is completely gone. So something definitely happened between those two that we unfortunately didn't catch here on the camera. We'll see if we can get a look at it here. And it looks like Broderick just came up into turn 1 and had it saved. And we'll see what else happened here. Looks like, oh, Lynn got the wall, and around they both went.
Ooh.
Right into the opening.
And no caution gets triggered.
Shades of Chase Briscoe a couple years ago in the Xfinity Series race hit that wall that juts out. And yeah, I can't believe that wasn't a yellow, considering that it was multiple cars and the severity of those hits, but both of their nights likely over now as a result of that.
Also shades of Jeff Gordon back in, I think, 09 or 010.
Oh, yeah.
Get the same opening.
Yeah, that opening. Yeah, that's... I didn't think it'd be a trouble spot, but sure enough, guess it is here tonight, as two cars end up hitting it in succession. And here we got Miles Nelson and Kyler Wynn. These two look like are not done with each other quite yet, as they're going at it right now for 14th place. Well, actually, Nelson's a lap down, so that's not for position, but still side by side regardless. And for P2, this is Nick Miller trying to get Mitch Hobbs.
Yeah, Miller got a nice run through 1 and 2, and he's going to fling it to the front of that 89. Hobbs looking to cross him over. Looks like, can't get the run. Miller stalled him enough off the corner in which Mitch couldn't fling it down to the low side, and Mitch also looked like he got tight through the 3 and 4, so he's going to have to settle himself in for third, but Hobbs looking for some... Oh, that time he got loose.
Yeah, I think his tires are starting to go away faster than anybody else's up there towards the front. And now Parker's lead has grown to about 0.8 of a second. And this time by will officially be halfway completed here for tonight. 75 down, 75 to go here at Vegas.
Parker has, I wouldn't say checked out just yet. We'll have to see on what kind of challenge Miller will bring to him. Basing there in the 08. He's been running up on the high side. Car down there, low on the apron. I think that's Kyler Wynn. Or
and on pit
Miles
road.
Nelson.
Oh boy, something else happened here.
They're both damaged.
Yeah, that was bound to happen. These two have been going at it all night now, at least since that caution between them came out.
Oh, like Kyler
the exact same thing that happened with Lynn and Broderick.
Oh,
and he flipped over. And once again, that was somehow not a caution.
Yeah, he flung way up the racetrack that time. But there was like no cars in his way to really trigger that caution, so
well, another one bites the dust, unfortunately, and somehow we stay green, despite a car tumbling down the backstretch. And yeah, those two, again, they had been going at it for about 40 laps now, off and on. And it finally came to a head there.
And it was not like somebody intentionally dumped somebody. It was Kyler got loose. I mean, Kyler got tight. He snagged the wall and ended up 0-0 Nelson just ran into him. I don't know if that was coincidental or... I
don't know.
Or what, but they ran into each other again, and I'm sure that's gonna spill over on the Discord.
Yeah, would not shock me, but unfortunately that'll be another car out of the running, so we're down to, I think, 14 on the racetrack and 13 on the lead lap. As Miller has gotten by Mitch and is now about a half a second ahead of him. And the 89 looks like he might be under attack now from the 08 of Basin, who came into tonight's race as the points leader. So I think Mitch did end up using his tires too fast. Now he's going to drop another spot to P4.
That second line through 1 and 2, so good. It's so good through that corner. And Mitch was able to fend off Basin there for the time being. But Basin, he's been trying that high side through 3 and 4. It's been working out the favors right there. Looks like he got a big bite there on Hobbs. So Basin now showing his stride, working himself inside this third spot. But we'll see if he could catch Miller or Parker.
Another battle a bit further back, that is Sartaj Mon and Ryan Kendrick for 5th. And it's about another second, almost second and a half behind them to Harry Grindle and Scott Yost. So the top 10 really starting to spread out now here as this run's gone on, which is, I would think, expected. And not even just the top 10, pretty much everybody that's still out on the racetrack is starting to really get spread out now, except for Kendrick and Sartaj. So we'll see how this battle unfolds, and we'll see if we can get this field bunched up at any point, or if it'll run out like this.
Might run out like this, I'm not really sure. 13 cars on the lead lap. Got, I think only 13 still remaining in tonight's, remaining on the racetrack right now. So we'll have to see on how it'll all turn out. But up front, though, Parker White making a solid statement for his championship run. This track's similar like Homestead, of course, 1.5 mile oval. I wouldn't say as abrasive, but Vegas, of course, does provide multi-groove racing. Homestead does as well, so for Parker in this 95, for him to be running toward the front, he's looking really, really good. And of course, for Parker, he's looking for a bit of a redemption from last time we ran a Final Four. So it looks like Mark Frimpong is going to go ahead and scoot that 53 onto pit road.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, he will not be good on fuel to the end. He'll have to come in one more time before the night's over. So we'll see how much longer the leaders decide to come in. I think we went green at about lap 53 or 54, if my memory serves me right. So we're about 30 laps in to this run. And with an estimated window of about 45 to 50, if you pit exactly 15 laps from now, that's going to put you on a 50-lap run to end the race. And there might be some fuel saving involved if that's what it ends up coming to.
Yeah, it might be. We'll have to see as Scott Yost is going to pull left and pull himself on a pit road. So it looks like 34, 35-ish as Hobbs is also going to pull on a pit road. He's going to scoot himself slowly down on in. Just about overshot it. I see a couple more drivers. Looks like Sabalos is going to work himself on pit road. But Hobbs, one of your top 5, is on in. You see Sabalos there in the background. He's going to work himself on pit road as well.
So I don't know if this is everybody trying to short pit, or if the fuel window is actually closer to 30 laps and it was overestimated by that much.
I'm not really sure. We'll have to see on, where everybody will shuffle by the end of the cycle, but those are the only 4 drivers who hit pit road. Cal Gomes is on in for his service. You see the 17 Sabalos work himself off of pit road. Seems as though 4 tires for those drivers. Only 5 drivers hit pit road.
I think Parker might be coming in this time. And Nick is going to slide his way down as well. So I think both of... Oh no, Parker stayed out, but Nick is in. So our pole sitter here for his penultimate stop here of the night in all likelihood. 4 tires and fuel coming up for the 19. And I think that might leave Kendrick and Grindle as cars that have not pit yet either.
Michael Deem is on in 095, one of the rookies here on the racetrack. He works himself out of pit road. Parker still stays himself out. So, that's about 2 laps fresher tires he's going to have versus everybody else. But, of course, he's going to lose a lot of time throughout this green flag cycle. So, Parker, he has to balance out his next run as nice as he can. And for Miller, try to push the issue to get yourself far enough ahead of Parker so he can't pass you with those fresher tires.
Yeah, and again, and I mean, at this point, Parker is going to have to pit again as well. So I wonder how much of an impact this will have now and how much it'll affect the next pit stop that eventually ends up happening. But I would think that if you're going to stretch it out like this, so you want to do it on the second stop rather than doing it now.
Yeah, so they're just trying to balance out the run equally. So I guess for the next run, you'd want to pit around, I'd say, 40 laps to go if you want to split it halfway. But if you pit now, you could stretch it all the way to 40 laps to go. So I'm not sure if they're splitting this run into thirds. That's why they're pitting now. Well, we'll have to see, but if Parker were to stretch it all the way to 45, no, looks like he might be coming in this time by.
And indeed, and he just barely made it there. We'll see if he got it slowed down in time, but I think at this point, if I'm pitting right now, I would probably want my last stop to be somewhere between 120 and 130. So we'll see when all these cars decide to. And it looks like Ryan Kendrick, unfortunately, was too fast entering pit road, and that resulted in a 30-second hold for him. And that's going to send him tumbling down the leaderboard, unfortunately.
Yeah, with only very minimal cars here on the lead lap, that's going to be
very hard to get those spots back, yeah.
That's right. And Basin seems as though he's electing to stay out. So, he could stretch it all the way to, around lap 45-ish. And Miller elects for splitting the run into thirds. Parker stayed out a bit longer than anticipated, so if Basin could stretch it all the way to 45, of course he's not going to be able to make it to the end, but he should be around, I'd say, lap 50, you should see him on pit road around, around 13-ish to go, maybe? If he wants to stretch that run all the way, but I'm pretty sure he won't.
I doubt he'd stretch it that far.
Right.
As Grindle makes his way off of pit road, and that means everybody has now completed their pit stop, well, once Basin gets off pit road. And circling back briefly as well to the penalty with Kendrick, iRacing's penalty system is a bit weird sometimes, where if you're too fast entering pit road, it'll hold you in your pit stall for 30 seconds, but if you're too fast exiting pit road, it'll have you come back down and serve a drive-through penalty. So I don't know how much of a time difference there actually is between doing a drive-through and being held for 30 seconds while you're already on pit road, but it's a bit of an interesting discrepancy there, depending on where you end up speeding on pit road. And for Kendrick, unfortunately, it cost him an extra 30 seconds, and it's probably going to keep him a lap or two down for the remainder of the race.
Yeah, I think that's a lucky break for Kendrick, for it to happen that way, because it definitely loses you more time for you to drive through on a pit road yet again, one more time. So He got lucky, I guess, but, you know, by means of lucky, he still got a black flag, unfortunately. So Kendrick currently, well, not down, but still in contention of this. And here's where things are gonna get interesting. Let me go ahead and re-pull up the fastest lap, the stint panel. So here's where everybody stands with tires, and there's looks like a 2-second lead from Parker all the way to Miller. No, actually less than a second. I'd say like it's like 8/10 between Parker and Miller. So and it's 2 seconds all the way from Hobbs to Parker, but that time by it was only 1.6 seconds. So Parker's making up 2/10 per lap. And that's just the benefit to staying out with old tires. And I'm very, very surprised to see a bunch of people decide to not stretch this first run all the way. They decide to split the run into thirds. And I think that might cost you in the long run, because you have older tires for that second run. You're going to lose a lot of time. And you need to set yourself up for that final pit stop rather than setting yourself up as early as you can, because fuel's not really an issue. You're for sure gonna make it on 2 stops, and tire-wise, shouldn't make too much of a difference unless you run a different line. So, very surprised to see a bunch of people, you know, try to short pit this early.
Yeah, I think Parker had the right idea there with this run, stretching it out as long as he did. And now, just like that, we're going to have a 3-way battle for the race lead. Nick Miller, Mitch Hobbs, Parker White, all going at it here. And Nick's going to try to hold off the 95 as long as he can, but that is not going to be very long at all with those fresh tires that Parker has. And I think Nick's going to try to block here and, again, just try to hold him off, but Parker just too much of an advantage on those newer tires. And he's going to be able to pass that 19 on the outside. And to the race lead goes Parker once again.
Yeah, so the driver who stayed out with the oldest tires is now sitting in third. The driver with the freshest tires is sitting up front. So now Miller, he needs to race the racetrack. What that 19 needs to do, don't worry about Parker. Worry about your own strategy. And after that, then start to worry. So for Miller in this 19, he's going to be hoping for his strategy to work out. And just, you know, reset yourself, erase that 95 off your mind for the time being, and know when you're going to hit pit road. So for Miller, wants to hit pit road, I'd say he's 13 laps into a run, and he hit pit road around, I'd say he hit pit road around 30. So you might see Miller around pit road on 120 or 115, or maybe a bit later, just to know, maybe tie up Parker White on when he hit pit road. So timing your stop. Oh, you go ahead.
No, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's by means of like timing your stop. You wanna be content with your strategy, because I feel like this race is definitely gonna go green from this point forward. By means of that, staying committed to your strategy. If you change it up now, it's definitely going to cause a problem. And that might...
Jeez! Grindle and Frimpong make contact in the middle of 1 and 2. They both save it, but that's going to be really costly for Harry, as he came into tonight again. One of those cars trying to make it to the Final Four. And unlike Miller, Mitch, and Sartaj, Harry has not been able to get himself up to the lead to lead a lap yet, so he's still a bit behind the 8 ball in terms of points, and you know, he's really going to have to get it going to try to get himself in, and that's definitely not how that's should go for him if he wants to get that done. So I think Harry's probably going to have to try something pretty crazy that nobody else is doing right now if he wants to advance onward.
That was odd between Frimpong and Harry. I'm not really sure why that contact was made, but they made contact regardless, and now Harry has a bunch of front-end damage, and Mark now, you know, has a bunch of left rear damage as well, so they're still running inside this top 10. It's not like a horrible day for them, but they received some type of damage, and I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, top 10 is still a pretty good day. It's just the issue is, for Harry, a top 10 is probably not going to be enough to get himself into the Final Four, because even though he came into tonight's race with a points advantage over both Nick and Mitch, at this point in the race, they've both gained more points than Harry has, and it's going to be a matter of how they balance out once this race concludes.
Jason is going to knock on the door of Mitch. Mitch is actually just going to let him by, not going to find out that spot. He knows the tire differential between himself and the car he fought. Or he didn't fight. So Mitch falls back to 4th for the time being. So John's there in the 49. He's also there in the mix as well. Scott Yost is sitting in 6th place, as Frimpong has fallen behind at number 70 of Grindle. So Frimpong very, very much off the pace.
Yeah, great run going for Scott there. Again, back up in P6 in his first ACOG event. And yeah, that contact there between Grindle and Frimpong is going to end up costing them both pretty dearly here, but especially Grindle with so much more on the line than that 53. Back up front, though, I mean, Parker White has absolutely set sail at this point on those newer tires. He's now up on Nick Miller by 3.5 seconds.
Miller's only shot is to, short pit and get in front of the 95. But,
I don't even think that can work, though, at this point.
It only worked out for, how many laps that run? 6 or 5 laps?
Yeah, and the exact same thing is going to happen again. I mean, sure, it can short pit, but then once Parker comes in X amount of laps later, he's going to have X amount of laps fresher tires, just like he does now. So I think if Nick short pits, what we just saw unfold over the last 10 or 12 laps is going to end up repeating itself probably around lap 135 or 140. So I just don't know at this point what Nick can really do that'll be that much different, because, I mean, he could try to stay out longer than Parker, but at that point, will he leave himself enough laps to gain that time back? And considering he pit before Parker did now, would he have enough fuel to potentially stay out longer than Parker on this run?
Yeah, that's right. And there's no other option to, save fuel. You got, how many laps on this run? 41 laps to go, and there's 22 laps logged on their tank. There's no way you're stretching it that far in. So Kendrick looks like he came on pit road for another time. Looks like one car's around.
All right, man.
That's going to bring out the caution, and it's Frimpong.
Oh boy, and that is not what Parker White wanted to see at all. And that is a huge break for both Nick Miller and Mitch Hobbs, and quite frankly, Harry Grindle as well. That's a game changer for sure. And it's only the 3rd caution of the night, even though, given the wrecks we had earlier, it should have been the 4th or 5th yellow to come out. And it looks like he'd help from Michael Demon there in the 097. It is so weird to me, though, that a spin like this ended up being a caution, yet Miles Nelson almost hit the opening and flipped down the backstretch and hit the outside wall on his roof, and we stayed green.
Not really sure how to call that. Frimpong was way lower than what he needed to be, but that 097 was littered all over him, and that's not the first time of contact that Frimpong, made. And looks like Frimpong, I'm not really sure. The Michael Deem had really no room to turn lower. He just ended up running over that 53, so seems as though just racing deal, or just odd lines being taken through the corner. I'm not sure if Frimpong wanted to move down low, or not really sure how to call that. But unfortunately for Frimpong, he's a lap down, and Tyler Field is going to get the wave around. Parker White first off the pit road.
Yeah, and even though Parker is first off pit road and he'll lead the field back to the green, I mean, I'm sure he still did not want to see that caution come out at all, given how much of an advantage he had, as there is absolute cone abuse going on right there out of turn 2. That blue cone taking the brunt of some front bumpers right now. But, yeah, no, Parker had a really big advantage given the way that was cycling out, and that advantage has been completely taken away from now. And given the speed he's had all night, he still has a very good chance of winning this race, but it did become a bit harder than it was about 2 or 3 minutes ago.
We'll take the 2 to go this time by. Good break for Kendrick. He's gonna get one of his 2 laps back. Fortunately, had to stay out there for the moment, and he's gonna be close on fuel. The rest of these drivers, though, they're gonna be good to the end. We saw a driver stretch it all the way, lap 42. And with, with 38 laps to go, yeah, they're for sure gonna make it all the way to the end. So it's gonna be a dead sprint from this point forward.
Yeah, and I don't think we're gonna see any more tire saving either. I mean, with only 30 to go or 35 to go at the line, I mean, we've seen Parker tire save successfully multiple times tonight, but I don't think he's gonna have the ability to do that again here on this final stint.
Scott Yost not on the racetrack. Looks like his quality fell through. So,
oh no!
Yeah, the driver from Michigan looks like some type of issue, some type of physical issue on his part, and he's fallen through, unfortunately.
Running 6th at the time of the caution, so really tough break there for Scott. And that's going to put Frimpong back into the top 10, despite being a lap down and despite being the reason why we're now under yellow.
Frimpong is a lap down, though, so he's going to have to wait for another caution to come out.
As we'll take the 1 to green, and it's going to be Parker on the bottom, Nick on the top, Dylan on the bottom, Mitch on the top, and Sartaj on the bottom. So we've got tied for 3rd in points coming into tonight. I believe 6th in points coming into tonight. The points leader, 7th in points, and I believe 5th in points. All in the top 5 here, with 36 to go once we take the green. So this restart could end up deciding who ends up making the chase and who falls just a bit short.
And, Frimpong, he does not need this. He is on the cusp of making it in.
Yeah, I mean, I totally forgot about Frimpong. In all honesty, that was a lapse on my part. Only came into tonight a point up on Parker White, and you see Dylan only a point ahead of Mark as well. So Frimpong sitting in 10th, a lap down. He's not even guaranteed a spot in either.
Yeah, and Frimpong, I mean, he's a lap down. He can't gain any positions right now.
And he's going to need another caution here before this ends. As Parker hits the throttle pretty early, Dylan got caught napping there on the bottom, and that's going to Nick to dive down to the bottom, and it's also going to allow Mitch to maybe take a move up top.
Looking double wide, Sertage all over Basin as he works himself through turns 1 and 2. Parker got a good enough jump to maintain the lead over Miller, not number 19, but with, how many cars on the racetrack we have, I don't think we're going to see a caution. Unless a battle for the lead right here shapes up to be, but Basin holding off Hobbs for the time being, and Hobbs again just trying to fight for whatever he can to get himself in this Final 4.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to the very end with so many cars up here in the top 10 all fight. I mean, there's basically I think 7 or 8 people up here essentially fighting for 3 spots right now. So it's going to come down, I think, to the very end in terms of who ends up making it and who doesn't. As you see Nick being really aggressive right now, trying to get that lead back from Parker. Doesn't quite have the run to do it, though.
He needs to get the lead right now. You know how he knows how fast Parker is on that long run. For Miller to get the lead right now, that would be huge. And Parker's sort of laying back as well, but Hobbs is gonna turn up the knobs and he's gonna start the gun for second. We'll see if he could challenge Miller for that second spot, but that's also gonna hinder out Miller for the time being. Miller sort of multitasking there with the 89 and 95. Wants the gun for the lead, but watching that 89 in the mirror. For Miller, he's in a bad sandwich right now. Parker wants to go early. He knows Miller's there, and with Miller, you know, not letting go, it's looking real bad for this number for this 19.
And it's weird because, again, we thought that caution coming out was going to be really detrimental to Parker, but he's still out front for right now, controlling this race, but Nick is still right there, and if he can make a move to the bottom here into turn 3, we'll see if he can. Doesn't quite have enough to get there, and this is going to allow Mitch to pull a bit closer, and if Mitch ends up pulling up side by side with Nick, that is going to be exactly what Parker wants to happen.
Miller was smart there through 3 and 4. He could have sailed it to the inside and tried to make something happen, but looks like the run just didn't come there. He decided to run middle in 3 and 4 and lay himself back a car length, regather that momentum back up, and see what kind of charge he'll get down for this next lap. But same situation, Miller and Parker are just running in each other's tire tracks for right now. Parker's getting the best of Miller.
And really the best of everybody, as we'll have 30 to go this time by, basically 30 laps to determine who will be fighting for a championship and who will not. Miller's still right there, but the longer Parker stays out front for now, with the long run speed he's shown, the better it's going to look for that 95. Miller needs to make this pass pretty much in the next lap or two if he wants to have a realistic chance at winning, and he also needs to make sure the 89 doesn't pull up beside him in the process. That's going to stall out any progress he does make.
Hobbs was as low as he could get. He was on the edge of that apron and somehow didn't tag it there, but Miller seems as though nothing's just gone his way just yet. He hasn't formed up a big enough run. Maybe this time he has one. He closed up the gap there, but it's nothing just yet. Miller's doing whatever he can to get by Parker Watt, but Parker's just so strong right now. And these top two are going 100% right now. They're going all out for this win. So no tire saving here, and that just brings in the picture. And you know how's Basin gonna do now to scoot himself to the backside of these top two? He's slowly lurking into the mix, as well as Sertaj Mon.
Yeah, it remains to be seen. I mean, Sertaj, I think, is going to have to be in a must-win at this point, as well as Nick and Mitch. And considering Parker came in tied for third tonight, I mean, he could probably afford to lose maybe 1 or 2 spots, but really no more than that. But Parker winning is going to really throw a wrench into Nick and Mitch's Final Four hopes, and at that point, it's going to come down to how many points Nick and Mitch have been able to gain on Grindel, since that 70 came into tonight's race 5th, and as well as Frimpong, who came into tonight's 2nd, but still sits 10th, trapped a lap down.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you got all sorts of odd battles going on right now. How many positions is Harry going to gain back here in 7th? He's nowhere around anybody right now. He's 3 seconds back. But for this lead, Miller trying to pick up a spot on Parker White to maybe pull himself an upset for the Final Four. Parker, too. He's tied with Malachi Drake coming in as Hobbs hits the wall.
Dylan did too. They both got it. They're out of turn 2. And for Frimpong, he's going to basically need a caution right about now to have really any chance of getting any of those spots back. And, I mean, in theory, he could make it in while sitting in 10th, but it would make it much easier if he can get a caution and maybe salvage 1 or 2 more spots before this thing wraps up.
Miller bottom of 1 and 2. It's Parker in the middle in 3 and 4. because Hobbs hit the wall on third. It's going to reel in Basin. Now Mitch is going to mirror drive as Bason's going to go to the safer barrier. He's been doing that entire race. And Miller, even though he's been on the backside of that 95, still nothing to be shaped here as Mitch he's throwing haymaker blocks on that 08.
Yeah, I mean, he has to at this point. It's about all he can do to keep himself in contention.
That's right. Parker's probably secured the most laps led, so that's another point for Parker. 60 out of the 127 laps has been ran. And you see Basin there on the high side. Basin could really rim ride in 3 and 4, get a good enough run. To pull down little Hobbs, and maybe Miller. He has to try something different to get around Parker.
It's a tricky one with Nick because considering he's in a must-win, he kind of needs to do anything he can, but he can't do anything too risky that could end up costing him a spot to the 08 or the 89 or the 49. So it's going to be a very interesting game that Nick's going to have to play to determine whether or not he can win this race, as Mitch is starting to trend in the wrong direction at about the worst time possible, as it looks like he's going to drop another spot here to Sartaj, and it may have been that wall contact, or it may have been using up his tires too fast. But the caution is out regardless, and it's Frimpong, who would have been the free pass.
Got other cars involved in it. Kendrick's in it, and looks like Tyler Field also
car's
caught up
destroyed.
in it. Yeah, and looks like that car's smoking, so we're going to see what happened between...
Frimpong got the caution he needed, but he ended up being in it.
Oh my
god. Oh, and almost upside down. Kendrick went. What in the world happened here? Oh, looks like Michael Deem got into Frimpong, and he was trying to save it as best he could. Ends up overcorrecting right into Kendrick, which sent the 112 on his side. But we'll get another look at this here through 3 and 4, and I think Frimpong got a bit tight and Deem rather had a big run and just got right into the back of the 53. And he's trying his best, and it just wasn't enough. And up on the driver's side, Kendrick went. Then here comes Tyler Field right into the door of Mark. So the caution that Frimpong needed did in fact come out, but he has a lot of damage as a result of it, though. And because he was involved, he won't get the free pass.
Might still pick up a position because the 128, the 126 does unfortunately have a meatball flag. So, of course, Frimpong also has a meatball flag as well as Kendrick. So maybe not.
Respect the meatball.
Pit road's open this time by big pit stop. This is money stop right here. Who will get themselves off the pit road first, and who will not?
And looks like it's going to be
Wow.
Parker, and Nick's going to drop a spot to Sartaj there. Though I wonder if that was strategic to restart on the bottom behind the 95. I wonder if
Parker
that was
got speeding.
Uh-oh. Parker White too fast exiting on pit road. And that is going to be a costly penalty to Parker. And if Nick's strategy was to back up and come out third to line up behind Parker, him doing that just cost him the race lead.
Not only that, I mean, the points, again, coming in here for the night.
Oh, man.
Parker was tied with Frimpong coming in here for the night. Both of them are going to be, looks like, I mean, Parker.
It's not over for Parker yet. His job got harder, but it's not over.
Yeah, and Kendrick as well. Looks like Frimpong does disconnect. Tyler Field's gone, so Frimpong's going to finish 10th no matter what. Scott Yost just reconnected, so he's going to pass Frimpong, so that's going to lose him a spot. Kendrick,
so Frimpong's going to get 11th then.
Yeah, I mean...
And if Kendrick gets back out there, it could bump him down to 12th. I mean, Frimpong is not safe by any means.
No, he's in the he's in the worst spot.
But it blows my mind. It looked to me like Nick slowed down on purpose to intentionally come out third. So if Parker got a big run, he could follow him into turn 1. But with the speeding penalty, that essentially handed the race lead to Sartaj, who's also in a must-win coming into tonight. I mean, what a way to flip this on its head. And with Dylan Basin sitting in third, he came into tonight's race only a point up on Frimpong and only 2 up on Parker. So even though he's sitting third, he's not even safe yet.
This is crazy.
I mean...
Now, well...
Might be the craziest 19-car race I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean... But I just don't know who's going to come out where, though. I mean,
I still think Parker could win.
Yeah, I think... I think Parker's definitely gonna, like, hopefully make the Final Four. I hope he does. But by means of, like, everybody else, if Harry finishes, you know, what's the difference between Harry and Frimpong?
I want to say it's 8 points, I think.
Yeah, Harry has 5,071. Mark has 5,079.
It's a 6-point gap right now.
So,
if Kendrick and Yost both pass Frimpong, that's 8 points for Grindle. They may end up tied.
And Kendrick looks like disconnected, so...
so...
Yost is going to get...
One. Well, Yost might get 2 spots if he can get by Feel as well.
That's right. So, Frimpong...
Man.
So, that'll bump... if Frimpong finishes 11th, and Harry finishes, I'd say, 4th, Mark's going to get bumped down the standings. But...
I don't know.
You got Parker as well, who's tied with Frimpong. I mean, I don't know. This is the crazy point situation. This is the only time in which you had live points.
Again, it's an 8-point gap coming into tonight between the 53 and the 70. Grindle is currently 7 spots ahead, so right now Frimpong is in over the 70 by a point. But if Yost passes the 53, that makes them tied on points, but it could be entirely possible that none of that matters, because they could both end up missing even if they're tied. So there are so many drivers so close together in points, and with literally nobody safe, it's going to be an all-out brawl here for these last 17 laps. I mean, everybody has to go as hard as they can now.
And with Sertage as the leader.
Green, green, green.
Green flag!
Oh, look at Dylan! Whoa!
Oh my gosh, that was a huge move for Miller. He needed to make that to keep Basin right behind, because you know how fast Basin would be.
Yeah, I'm sure Dylan didn't appreciate that, though. I mean, Nick did what he had to do, but you know Dylan's not going to be happy at all with the 19 for blocking and making that contact. And Parker restarted in 8th, already up to 5th, and look at him rim-riding up on the top side right now, as Grindle's going to try to cross over Dylan out of turn 4 to get 3rd.
Oh my gosh.
And he almost did the same thing that Nick did.
Down to the low side goes Harry. His momentum got stalled out. Now he's going to have a mirror full of the 95 of Parker. Parker looks middle.
Flying.
Yeah, Parker's flying now, but you know.
Here we go. That's for 4th right there. Parker passed in the 70 up top. That's a point gone for Harry, so now he's only 5 spots ahead of Frimpong, as Miller's all over the back bumper. Sartage coming to 15 to go.
15 laps. That's a lot of time for Parker to make.
I think he's got enough time, though. He's only about 0.8 of a second back.
Oh, man. Sartage took away Miller's line, but, I mean, Parker has to pass 2 people. And not only that, he has to pass Basin right now, and Basin's not letting go for the time being, and he's going to have to pass low side.
And looks like Dylan's going to leave the door open for him.
Oh, yeah, he just let him go. Wow, I'm very surprised Basin didn't fight that out.
May not have the car to at this point, as Parker will clear for 3rd.
Sertage has finished 2nd.
14 to go. And now Yost and Frimpong are on the same lap, and Yost just passed Frimpong for 10th. So Grindle now 6 spots ahead of the 53. But that will leave Grindle 2 spots short for right now if this running order stays the way it is upon the race finishing.
Sertage's highest finish this season was 3rd at Daytona. His next best finish was a 8th place at Phoenix just last week. Now he's in the lead, fighting for his first win of the season against Nick Miller, who recently went to victory lane. Can he do it with just 13 laps left?
And while these two battle it out, look who's right there. Parker White who ended up back in 8th because of that speeding penalty, already back up into 3rd place, and he's less than half a second back of Sartaj and Nick. So if these two up there battle it out too much, that 95 could be right there to capitalize on both of them.
And he's definitely going to be there. That 95 is definitely going to play a factor into how this finish will go, but Sartaj is the slowest car out of these three, and you see like his line that he's taking through the corner. He's entering it a bit wider than what Miller is, and Miller wants to send it a bit deeper, and that's just losing Miller some time to Parker. But it's also losing both of them time to Parker, honestly, and when I look at it. You also got Basin sort of lurking there in the distance. He's, 9/10ths back, but if somehow these three get into each other, Basin's going to be in appearance.
And you have to remember as well, Dylan came into tonight's race the points leader. Granted, it was only 1 point up on frame qualm, but he still came into tonight's race with the best scenario out of anybody. So I'm pretty sure that 4th place, if this holds up, is going to be enough to get him onto the Final Four, given the gap that Nick, Mitch, and Sartaj had to make up coming into tonight's race. As we only have 10 to go now, as you make our way down the backstretch. And speaking of Mitch, back in 8th place, it's not looking very good for the 89 right now.
Miller looking low.
He's there.
Miller's knocking on the door. He just
close.
leaned on him into the corner. He's like all over him. He's looking in, looking out. Now looks inside. Gets cut off. But Miller has to make this pass efficiently because Parker's there.
He's going to make a crossover, I think, here into turn 1, or at least try to.
Oh, man, Sartaj.
This is so close.
Oh, he opened up the door for Miller that time. Miller.
And look, Parker's right there as well. There's contact down the backstretch. Sartaj trying to block as much as he can. He knows he has to block to survive and advance. And while that happens, Parker's trying to capitalize on Nick. And all three of these chasers all running within just tenths of each other, as Nick's on the back bumper Sartaj now with just 8 to go, and now Parker's going to make a move on the bottom and might get both of them for the lead.
Oh my goodness, Parker, that's a huge send, but Miller looks up higher, 3 wide, baby. Never mind. Oh my gosh, Sartaj is he's in the best spot right now. He sees these two drivers side by side. This is his chance to extend the lead, but he left the door open for Parker. Oh, was that a bad choice by Sartaj? I'm not really sure. 7 laps to go.
Yeah, Parker didn't get enough of a run on him, though, so they're going to be side-by-side behind Sartaj, which for right now is exactly what the 49 needs to see. But he's going to leave the bottom open again for the 95, but didn't get enough of a run again. And look behind these three as well, as Nick hits the wall and gets into the 95. And while these two continue to battle, it's starting to bring Dylan closer in again. But now that Parker's passed Nick, this is going to make it easier for him to get by Sartaj. And the 49 is going to have to block for his life here over these next 6 laps.
Yeah, this is the 6 laps to go. This is Sartaj's maybe Final Four ticket on the line right here. He's going to open up the door for Parker.
There he goes.
But of course, Sartaj is going to pinch as much as he can.
Almost contact there, and Parker, I think, did the smart thing there by letting off. I'm sure he didn't want to, but he probably saved both his and Sartaj's races. And another shot here to turn 1, coming to 5 to go. And Dylan is closing it a bit more. Yeah, there's 95 in the wall, but look, here comes Dylan. Less than 7/10ths of a second back. Sartaj is opening up a bit of a lead, and we might have a 4-way battle for the lead here in a lap or 2.
I don't know, that big mistake by Parker was huge. You never see mistakes like that, but then the 95 really threw it away that time. Miller tries to look low and maybe try to cross over Parker, but it looks like it just didn't happen. And Dylan is there. He's there. Dylan is coming.
That wall contact for Nick really hurt him there, and it might cost him 3rd place to Dylan here in the next lap or so, as Sartaj will have 4 laps to go to survive and hold off the 3 cars behind him, currently up by about 4/10ths of a second, as Dylan's going to look up high for 3rd on Nick. 19 gets a bit tight there out at 2, and they're still side-by-side down the back.
Also to mention, Harry Grindle's in 5th spot, so he's fighting out with Dean right now as Basin's going to rim ride through 3 and 4.
And I think Harry and Michael Deem are actually starting to get brought in as well, like Dylan was. So if these top 4 have an incident, Grindle's less than 2 seconds back. He could easily capitalize on any incident that may happen up here.
Sertage is perfect right now. I think it's 5 tenths ahead of Parker. Ever since Parker hit the wall, he's been tight. And that 95.
And Nick as well.
And Nick as well. That's correct. What am I saying? Correct and right. As Parker's going to rim ride as well with Basin. So Parker's trying something different.
And they're going to be 2 laps to go at the line. Dylan's going to go side by side with Parker for second. And that is exactly what Sertage needs as Dylan clears for that second spot. And it's going to be down to this basically as Nick is going to try to get third away from Parker. He gets a bit tight on the bottom. And for now, Parker holds on.
Oh man, this is perfect for Sertage. The ingredients are brewing his way. Basin trying to make something happen there on the high side, but I think it's too little too late. 1.5 miles left for this final Las Vegas run. And the lottery might have selected its numbers. That 49 is on the books.
Yeah, it was looking a bit dicey there. Parker and Nick were knocking on the door the entirety of that last run, but with both Parker and Nick hitting the wall in the closing laps, they started to fade away. Dylan Basins in about one last charge, hit to 3 and 4. Look at the send he had there, but unfortunately, it will not be enough. And for Sertage, it's going to be a hard-earned victory here tonight at Las Vegas.
Oh man,
wow,
that is huge. As Parker's going to keep third over Miller.
What a race!
What a race indeed. It's been a while since I've seen a hard fight like that for that top spot, but Sertage, he's your winner.
And it's going to be razor thin on points as well. We're going to have to calculate that during the commercial break and see where everybody settles out. But Sertage survives and wins here tonight at Las Vegas. Dylan Basin ends up P2. He will be in the Final Four after coming into tonight's race. Your points leader, Parker White, third. Nick Miller, your pole sitter, ends up fourth. Stay tuned to see if those two made it in. Harry Grindle, fifth. I don't know if that'll be enough. We'll see. Michael Deem, great run for him in P6. Uriel Ceballos, great run for him as well there in seventh. Mitch Hobbs, Scott Yost, and Tyler Fail round out your top 10.
And 11th through 20th, it's Frimpong, Kendrick, Gomes, Wynn, Nelson. Rounding out 11th or 15th, Lynn, Broderick, Daffin, White, Gentry round out the top 20.
And then the 2 cars that did not start in addition to Gentry, Frank DeAngelis and Max Urich. And we will be back here in just a couple of moments. We're going to calculate up the points and see who the Final Four will be, as Sertage will burn it down here on the front stretch. So we'll be back here in just a couple of moments with their Final Four and some interviews.
ACOG iRacing Series presented to you here by MaxspeedTV finally ends the roads out here for the Final Four cutoff here at Las Vegas. And what a victory for Sertaj Mon and that number 49. We'll go ahead and show you points and seeing where everybody is. We've updated points, and here's where everybody stands after tonight. My goodness. Sertaj is in
by a point over Harry Grindle. So Basin still exits as the points leader. Parker White there in second. You saw Frank DeAngelis there breathe through the 50,000 points. That has been rectified. Mark Frimpong there, despite finishing 11th, gets in by 2. And with the win, Sertaj gets in by just a point over Harry. It was that razor thin. And that win, with all that blocking Sertaj did, that was the difference. And it got him into the Final Four.
We'll go ahead and drag him into the booth and see what he has to say about tonight's event. And into the booth goes Sertaj Mon. If I could even drag him in here. Yep, into the booth he goes. Sertaj! Oh my goodness, man. It came down to that final restart. Of course, Parker White had a speeding penalty, but he worked himself to the back bumper of you, but you luckily held him off. Not only are you a winner, you're in the Final Four.
Honestly, I wasn't even expecting to like have a chance at the Final Four and even have a chance at the win, but you know, just I somehow got it. You know, just that pit stop helped me out. I came in fourth, I exited first because thanks to Parker's speeding penalty. But yeah, I mean, it was just crazy. Basin almost had a shot at me at the end there. He sent it in there, but yeah, we somehow got in the Final Four as well.
You held off the 3 best drivers in the league with Miller, Parker, and Basin all littered all over you. For you to grab the win, not only that, to pick up a Final Four ticket off of Las Vegas, seems as though the lottery just played into your favor.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's good that I know them, because like since I knew them, I knew like pretty much all their moves, you know? So it helped me there. But yeah, everything just played into my hands right at the end, and yeah, we're into the Final Four now, so cool.
Yep, that's right, Sertaj. So what are you looking forward to coming on to Homestead next week then?
You know, I'm not the best at Homestead. I love Las Vegas, but you know, maybe our luck will change at Homestead next week, and we can possibly pull out a W.
All right, bud. 10 for Sertaj Mon, going to be gunning for the money here after winning at Las Vegas. Congratulations, man. But before I let you go, any sponsors want to take care for tonight?
No sponsors. Thank you.
All right, bud. 10 for Sertaj Mon up top. We'll go ahead and see you come to next race, man.
All right.
Yourselves back 1 spot to Dylan Basin in the 08.
Hey, Dylan, got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Man, you came into tonight's race the points leader, and you exit tonight's race the points leader and into the Final Four. We saw you mentioned during qualifying the car was a bit plowing, and we saw you fall back a bit on that last run, but Parker and Dylan hitting the wall, Parker and Nick hitting the wall helped drag you back in. Do you think you might have gotten Sertaj if there were a couple more laps, or do you think he had it made at that point?
Yeah, definitely. I was trying to save tire in the back because I had a lot of damage from early in the race that it was really hard to notice with the paint job with the black and green, but I had a bunch of right front damage and splitter. So the whole race I was just way off on pace or short run. So at first I thought I lost it towards the end because they pulled away quickly and I just had no pace. Then they started hitting the wall and stuff, and I started ripping the wall again. It took about 10 laps for me to get that wall in 3 and 4 working. Once it did, it was hauling, but it was too late. Good win to Sertaj. Good to see him in the Final Four, which is kind of surprising. I didn't know he was going to make it, even if he won. I wish I had 2 more laps to see what we could have done, but, you know, I'll take P2 or leading points into the championship race and see if we can get it.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that. Now that you've secured yourself a spot in this Final Four, you're going to go up against some of the best there is here in ACOG at Homestead. So what are you going to have to do next week to make sure that you come out on top out of the Final Four?
Yep. I'm really worried about Parker next week. I've seen how he is at Homestead, and knowing Parker, you know, he's fast everywhere no matter what the combo is or the situation. So I'm going to have to work my butt off next week to see if I can beat him. I'm not sure how the other two in the playoffs, or not the playoffs, the Final Four would do. I haven't really seen them race that much, but I'm sure they'll be quick as well. So Ready to go balls to the wall next week, and if we don't win it, all well. If we do, then sweet.
Yeah, it'll certainly be an interesting one for sure. As Dylan Basin rounds himself out here in P2 here at Vegas. Before I let you go, any sponsors you want to thank here?
Because Elite Performance Industries and Himkus Esports for supporting me and watching along.
All right, Dylan Basin, good luck next week at Homestead as you fight for the championship.
Get ourselves back one spot more. The number 95 of Parker White. Go ahead and drag him into the booth after his third place run. Led the most laps, but unfortunately, you cost yourself the win there with that late race speeding penalty. And that number 95, we saw you pressuring that issue on pit road, but unfortunately, it just caught you there at the end. You crawled yourself back to third, though. Congratulations, man. First thoughts?
Yeah, I started from the back. Like, I knew that was like third or so in points, and Harry was like 7 points behind me. So I was just gonna chill and just try to run my pace, and I was able to work my way to the lead really quick. So I just kind of sat out there, chilled, and just put down some laps. And I honestly don't remember what happened. Like, I was just zoned out. And then we got some cautions, we got some green flag stops, and then we got a caution there at the end, which was kind of questionable, because if that wouldn't happen, then I probably would have been able to hit my marks on pit road. But it spaced the field back together, and we had a run to the end, which was actually kind of fun because it was right at that distance where we didn't really have to hard save tires and we could just go. So I had some fun racing with Nick at the front there. Then we got another caution. So I sped on pit road, went to the back, and I was able to work my way back up to the front. And then when I got up there, I think Sartaj and I might have net coded or something. And then when I went through turn 4, I think either that lap or the lap after, it just got tight and I hit the fence. So I was just watching Dylan in my mirror, and I knew that he'd be faster. So once he got there, I just let him go. Like, I wasn't going to hold him up because I knew he'd get by me anyway. But it was a pretty fun race overall. Just one thing that I struggled with was the fuel fill, because that made the car a lot tighter, and I'm just not good with that stuff. So I don't know, guys. We'll go on to next week at Homestead.
Yeah, that's right. As a Final Four contender coming into Homestead, what are you looking forward out of the car to pull yourself forward to not only a W, but a championship?
Well, if I'm being completely honest, it's going to sound pretty stupid, but probably the fuel fill, just because it makes the car tighter. And I'm not sure if that's going to benefit me or not, because one thing that I'm really good at Homestead, and what makes me one of the best I feel at Homestead, is like I can hook the seam very well. And that's one thing that I kind of struggled with when they updated the track, but I got that figured out again. So if the car's tight, I feel like I can kind of manage that and make it hook the seam. And if it's loose, I can kind of make it hook the seam still without getting too loose, and kind of use the throttle to manage the right ear. But I guess I'll just go into next week looking like, I'm not sure if I'll qualify or not, just because it's kind of fun to come from the back. But I guess I'll just be looking at Dylan, because I know he's going to be the strongest competition, and he's also really good at Homestead. So I'm also looking forward to racing him, because that should be a fun race like it has all season. So just looking forward to it, and looking forward to have some fun next week.
All right, bud. 10-4 Parker White in the 95 rounds himself out third. But before we let you go, any special take care for tonight?
Yeah, I just gotta thank you, Zeke, for the broadcast, North Source Racing, SRD, Simmons Studios, and that's about it.
All right, bud. 10-4 Parker White in the 95 rounds himself out third. We'll go ahead and see who comes next race, man.
Thank you.
Well, with that being said, I mean, we've lined up our final 4 here for tonight. It's going to be Sartaj, Basin, Parker, and Frimpong. All of our final 4 coming in to Homestead next week. Dewey, any last second comments you want to go ahead and insert before we leave off tonight's broadcast?
I mean, what a race it was to decide that Final Four. We had the last spot decided by a single point. It was as close as you can possibly get, and it came down to that blocking by Sartaj and a couple of well-timed cautions, and just what a night it was. Congratulations to Sartaj and the rest of the Final Four, as they will all fight for a championship next week at Homestead. And for now, for Zeke Reyes, I am Doobie Schramm. Thank you all very much for watching.